Thank you.
Most of the time I work at home, like 3 weeks out of the month. But 1 week I go into an office, actually it's on the East Coast, and when I go into that office, people who normally call me on the phone, the other lawyers in my firm, they literally come into my office, and that's not unusual, right? You work in an office, people come into your office. I'm so in love with these people, it's just over the top. And I can't tell them. Maybe I could, maybe I will someday. I just kind of look at them and feel it, I think. But I couldn't tell them, it would be like, then I wouldn't be a lawyer. It would just be too weird, I think.
I just can't help it. I have to share that. Every once in a while, in a very spiritual setting, I have this song coming up, there is no business but show business. And the first time I was like, oh my God, there is some truth to that, I guess. There is
it's all about the show, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
The show must go on.
It came up again today.
Since you've been in awakened states, I think you've been in one for quite a while, but do you notice when you're around people that there's a change, than before, as far as the energy you bring to...
You mean you experience other people differently?
Or do they seem to experience you differently, or do they mention anything?
Yeah.
And can you give an example?
The people in my office who don't know anything about this, I can't tell you how many times people have said, no, I'll come down to your office. I'd really like to be in your office. Others, they just say, I come to your office, I talk to you, I leave feeling great. And I'm not doing anything. That's the divine.
Yeah.
It's not me.
What it is being around him, you feel very accepted for yourself, for who you are. And you do feel the love, like he says he feels love for everybody. And just to feel love and to feel accepted for who you are is so amazing. We all have felt that at different times from different people in our lives, but just, he's constantly just really accepting of everyone. And it's very healing that when you are accepted, you can just be yourself. You can then begin to accept your own self. So it goes back and forth. It's just, everything starts to, all the conditioning starts to be dismantled as you begin to accept what is.
When you go to the deepening course in India, there are people from all over the world. In fact, frequently the people from the U.S. are a very small group amongst the people from other countries. And all sorts of things go on that trigger charges. I can't believe that person just burped out loud. Because there are other cultures where things are different. And in fact, that's not just a joke, that's an example. And there are just different kinds of behavior, and you can trigger people, and you watch the guides, the Indian monks who do all of the teaching, and they're just never, ever shaken by any of that sort of stuff. They just accept it. You know, you might think somebody complains and you might think they'd say, yeah, you know what, you really ought to stop doing that. They don't. They just let it happen and let everybody work through things. And it happens, you know, one person says, yeah, it's not like the people who are doing the things that are annoying other people don't know it, because not everybody on the courses is awakened and just accepting whatever anybody does. But it's like that. You feel the love from these guides just so palpably, because they're just totally accepting of whatever happens. It's really beautiful to watch.
One more question. Go ahead, Matt.
I'm curious, Bhagavan's talked about there'll still be anger, and there'll still be what we consider to be often negative emotions. I'm curious to learn about that, because sometimes I find myself being so strong, and yet I feel it's love, and I know this in some experiential thing, but it doesn't make it easier to be strong with someone who doesn't want to hear something, and I'm just kind of curious. I don't know exactly know what the question is, but I'm experiencing that kind of great love and just all-out enjoyment of people, even the nastiness, even the challenging things. But I'm just kind of curious what it's like to be on that river for you when the different negative emotions come up, or negative emotions.
Yeah, I don't we call them negative, but they're just emotions when you're not experiencing them as charges. What happens is we're made up of lots of different personalities. And by that I mean the sort of the mode of behavior that might kick in 1 minute, and then another mode the next minute. Maybe not minutes, but you know what I mean. Like there's an angry you, there's a happy you, there's a contemplative you. And when you're not awakened and you identify with each of those, you don't realize that they're really these little packets that just kind of come up, do their job, and then go down. And we were meeting with Bhagavan once, and I explained that was my experience to him. He said, yeah, that's exactly what happens. That personality comes up, it serves a purpose, and then it goes away. And everybody's going to have their own awakening process, so that the degree of the angry personality coming up, or the funny personality coming up, it's going to be totally different for each person. What's going to happen is that regardless of how someone experiences those personalities and what kind of exists inside them, what's going to happen is that the identity with those things is going to break free. It's not like the identity is going to go, oh, I'm over here now. It's just not going to be grasping, holding on, identifying with those things. The kind of thing that would make you think, oh, darn, I wish I hadn't done that. That's the you, that's the ego speaking. It's the it's the looking at what your behavior is like and commenting on it. That's the you. That's the ego. and let's not get all wrapped up in the way psychologists and psychiatrists define ego. It's just, for this purpose, it's just the you-ness, or the me-ness. So all that stuff still comes up, but it's not like the world becomes a big disconnected experience of one thing after another. There's an I, but it's a universal I. It's like the silence between the thoughts, which never used to exist because the thoughts were constant. That silence takes on the unifying role that the ego used to take on. The way Ramana Maharishi spoke about this, he'd say the ego doesn't die in the way you think it dies, meaning it's completely gone. It becomes impersonal. And my experience of that is that it's the universal I that has no sense of ownership that becomes the glue that everything is experienced within, whether it's anger or not. I can tell you one thing I've absolutely experienced is that over time, as my bond with the divine has developed, everything's just become blissful and sweet and smooth. And all of these other personalities that don't really have that quality to them are gone. I can't say that that's going to be everybody's experience. That's my experience. And I can't say that I'm going to go home tonight and get angry at her. I have no idea, and I don't care. But don't think of anger and any of the, quote, negative emotions as a block to awakening. Don't think, like you were saying, we're just tricking ourselves. Don't think, I'm just not there, I got angry. It's not like that. Just relax with what you're experiencing and just be whatever happens.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Namaste.
One short song together?